Every day, millions of workers around the world face risks in their workplaces. From industrial factories to construction sites and offices, the lack of precautions or human and mechanical failures can lead to accidents that many times are captured by security cameras. These records not only shock us with their severity, but also teach us valuable lessons about the importance of workplace safety. It is these moments of workplace safety failures that you will watch today. A worker identified as Edmar de Oliveira lost his life in 2022 on Memorial Avenue in Porto Velho, Roraima, in Brazil, after being run over by a steamroller. The incident happened at a construction site for the project de Chao Poeira, responsible for resurfacing and paving roads. Security camera images show the moment of the runover. In the video, it is possible to see the worker walking in the middle of the lane when the steamroller heads toward him and runs over his entire body. Then, other employees run toward their co-worker to check on his condition. However, Edmar's situation was deplorable, and he lost his life right there. In a statement, the government of Rondônia in Brazil and the State Department of Highways and Transportation, responsible for the work, said they would provide all necessary support for the worker's family with social assistance, psychological care, and funeral arrangements. The tragedy quickly spread throughout the entire country. Employees at a company decide to play around in one of the site's warehouses, and the game ends in a big tragedy. Security camera footage shows the moment when two employees improvise two carts to hold a race on site. While the two line up, the other gives the starting signal, alluding to a race. But one of the employees on the cart seems to lose control of it, has his vision blocked by the cloth that was in front of him, and crashes into the stock shelves that, upon impact, wobble and collapse on top of the employee, who is completely buried. The other two employees who were part of the joke run away from the place in despair. Unfortunately, the buried employee did not survive and passed away. The other two involved, according to information, were fired for cause. Harrison O'Keefe is the protagonist of one of the most impressive survival stories ever recorded at sea. He was the cook aboard the tugboat Jackson 4, which sank in May of 2013 in the Gulf of Guinea off the coast of Nigeria. The ship was at 30 meters of depth, and miraculously, O'Keefe managed to survive for about 60 hours in an air pocket inside the submerged vessel. The Jackson 4 sank due to adverse conditions, such as rough seas and strong winds. Of the 12 crew members on board, O'Keefe was the only survivor. He was in the bathroom when the ship began to sink rapidly. Trapped in a space with a small air pocket, O'Keefe stayed in the dark, with freezing temperatures and without access to food. He managed to survive by ingesting a bit of drinking water found in a cooler. Moreover, he faced the psychological challenge of isolation, the lack of adequate oxygen, and the constant fear that the air would run out. Divers sent to recover bodies ended up finding O'Keefe alive. The rescue images show the dramatic moment when he is discovered, already extremely weakened, but conscious.
Okay. All right, show him the harness.
Put this one on.
Oh, is that okay?
That's it.
Can we tighten it a bit more? Is that okay?
The divers used a diving bell to bring him safely to the surface, avoiding a quick decompression that could have been fatal, and so he had to spend a bit more time underwater before returning to the surface. Harrison O'Keefe became a symbol of resilience and faith. He attributes his survival to a miracle, considering that he prayed intensely during the period of isolation. This story, although distressing, highlights the value of training in workplace safety and the importance of quick responses in emergency situations. In a factory in China, a worker was pulled into an industrial machine. Thanks to the presence of another employee nearby, who kept calm and pressed the emergency button, the machine was stopped in time to avoid a tragic outcome. The injured worker was rescued and taken for medical care. The co-worker's familiarity with the emergency button was essential for the quick reaction. Otherwise, the man could have been sucked in and crushed by the machine. Many internet users, besides being shocked by the situation, highlighted the importance of working in pairs on machinery with such risk. After all, if an accident happens with one, the other can act quickly and avoid tragedy. This story is an excellent example of how the correct use of personal protective equipment, also called PPE, can literally save lives, or in this case, prevent a serious injury. The worker Brad in Canberra, Australia, shared his experience to raise awareness about the importance of workplace safety. Brad was using a grinder when, unexpectedly, a piece of the blade broke off and was propelled at high speed toward his face. The fragment would have hit his eye, possibly causing blindness or even fatal injuries, but the safety glasses he was wearing absorbed the impact and protected him completely. Brad recorded the incident on video, showing the blade piece embedded in the glasses he wore. The video spread on social media, widely praised for promoting good safety practices.
No, I guess that's why you wear safety glasses, eh?
Brad's experience reinforces that in industrial and construction environments, the adequate use of PPE is indispensable. He was lucky and acted responsibly by being equipped, but similar accidents show that neglecting safety can lead to serious consequences. A worker who operated a rotating machine, unfortunately due to a moment of carelessness, got trapped there and met a tragic end after the machine seized him. In the strong images recorded by security cameras, we can see the moment when he appears to work calmly beside the equipment. But at a certain point, as he approaches the moving machine to make some adjustment or grab something, part of his clothing, more specifically his shirt sleeve, got caught on the machinery and he was immediately pulled in. He even tries to hold back to avoid it, but the force of the machine is obviously much greater than his, and so he could not avoid the tragedy. Other workers in the same warehouse took a few moments to notice, and when one of them arrived to press the emergency button, the man was already stuck, spinning, entangled in the machinery in a very shocking scene. A man decided to do a demonstration on a piece of machinery, more specifically a lathe, but in a completely reckless manner while operating it, he got involved in a serious accident. When demonstrating to other people how to use the machine, he appears to use a tool to loosen a part, and to apply more force, he decides to put his leg on the machine, which is totally wrong. After all, the machine could turn on at any moment and catch him, which is exactly what happens. Most likely, he brushed against the button that activated the lathe, and since his foot was on it, the lathe grabbed his foot and spun it, leaving his leg stuck there. The men standing next to him do not seem to be very experienced and are startled by the situation, but one of them runs and seems to turn off the lathe. The man does not end in a tragedy, but certainly his leg must have suffered a serious injury. A home security camera captured the moment when the resident was cutting some pieces of wood on a bench saw and got into an accident. In the footage, he appears calmly cutting the pieces of wood, but he is not wearing the necessary protective equipment, which we know is quite risky. At a certain moment, the piece of wood he is cutting catches on the blade in a wrong way, causing an impact that throws the board at high speed toward his abdomen. The board flies quickly toward his body, hitting him and obviously causing a lot of pain. Obviously, if he had been using proper safety equipment, such as a guard on the bench or adequate clothing to prevent precisely this kind of impact, the situation might have been less severe. Fortunately, because it was a lightweight board, the man was not seriously injured. This tragic incident, which occurred in Belousovo, Russia in 2021, was a grim reminder of the dangers faced by workers in factories and production lines. The victim, a 36-year-old woman, lost her life after being pulled into a meat grinder while working in a poultry processing factory. She was operating the equipment when her hand got caught, and she was dragged inside the machine. Witnesses reported that death was instantaneous due to the severity of the injuries. The case was investigated by the Russian authorities, who looked into possible negligence in the machine's maintenance and in compliance with safety regulations. Machines like meat grinders must have physical protections preventing direct contact with moving parts, something we did not see in this case, and so it sparked an immense debate on the internet. This case caused an outpouring of emotion and renewed calls for better working conditions and stricter regulations to protect workers in food factories and industries. This accident, which took place in a factory in India, shows the risks that a simple distraction, in addition to having loose hair in the case of women, can bring to a person. Security camera footage shows the moment when a female employee's hair got caught in a fan, causing her to be pulled and thrown to the floor. Despite being pulled very hard and suffering a harsh fall, she fortunately survived. But it is worth noting that accidents like this can cause serious or even fatal injuries. As stated earlier, in industrial environments, long hair must be tied back or covered with nets or safety caps. Moreover, the best option is to have fans installed in high areas of the warehouse, preventing contact with employees. This impressive incident in Austin, Texas shows how dangerous construction work can be, especially when large equipment such as cranes is involved. In the video, workers are seen running desperately for shelter as a large crane collapses at the construction site. The collapse happened in a large-scale construction area. The crane, which was being used to lift a very heavy concrete slab, lost its stability and began to topple, causing panic among the workers. The workers' quick response upon realizing the danger was crucial. Many managed to escape unharmed, others had only minor injuries, but the incident underscores how vulnerable those who work near heavy equipment can be. Images from a security camera inside a warehouse captured the exact moment when a man narrowly avoided being crushed by a door. In the recording, the man is seen walking in from outside, passing through the door to enter the warehouse, talking to another professional who was already there. A few seconds after he passes under the raised metal door, it comes loose and crashes to the ground, startling everyone present. The man who had just walked by seems unable to believe he escaped by so little. Probably some latch or part that held the door up broke, and it dropped. If the man had taken a little longer to enter or had passed through the spot seconds before, he surely could have met a tragic end. And once again on a lathe, an operator was working normally when he saw his shirt get caught on the machine and was pulled in with full force. In security camera footage from the warehouse, we see the professional operating the lathe as usual, until, when he gets too close to the machine, his shirt, which was a bit loose, catches on the equipment and is immediately pulled in. Luckily, instead of his body going along with it and causing a serious accident, the shirt tore off, came away from his body and got pulled in alone. For sure, he was very lucky that the shirt tore and did not pull him into the machine. The worker also managed to press the emergency button moments later, shutting the machine down for good. As mentioned before, baggy shirts are strictly prohibited when operating this type of machine. After all, accidents like this can be fatal. Subscribe to the channel for more videos like this.